My name is Olivia Carter. I'm 29 years old, and 3 months ago, I thought I was standing at the edge of the life I'd always wanted. I had the Pinterest wedding board, the venue deposit down, the dress hanging in a garment bag at the back of my closet. I had the ring, the families planning seating charts, the group chat called Olivia and Ethan's Big Day, blowing up every weekend. And I had Ethan Miller. Ethan is 27, manages a clothing store at the mall, has a crooked smile that used to make my stomach flip, and a way of turning every minor inconvenience into a grand cosmic injustice. We'd been together for 3 years, engaged for 8 months. We bought a modest house in the suburbs with a patchy lawn and a squeaky screen door that he kept promising to fix. From the outside, we looked fine, normal, happy, even. From the inside, there were hairline fractures I pretended not to see. One of those fractures had a name, Lucas. Lucas Miller, 31, Ethan's older brother. Corporate lawyer at a big firm, owns a loft downtown, drives some sleek European car that whispers money without screaming it. He travels for work to places with skylines I only ever see on Instagram. If you listen to Ethan's version of the story, Lucas had everything handed to him. Golden boy, he'd say, with a bitter little laugh. Favorite son. Free ride. No real problems. If you talk to literally anyone else, Lucas worked his ass off. Full scholarship. Law school loans paid off in 5 years. 12-hour days, weekends, the whole grind. But facts don't matter much when you're competing with a ghost of who you think you should have been. Every family gathering turned into the same pattern. Ethan's mom bragging about a case Lucas won, the trip his firm was sending him on, the new condo he bought as an investment property. Ethan would smile tight, crack a joke about money not buying happiness, then stew in it for the rest of the night. Must be nice, he'd mutter on the drive home, having everything handed to you. I'd stare out the window at passing streetlights and say, you know that's not true. He'd shrug, whatever, you don't get it. Maybe I didn't. Or maybe I did and just didn't want to look too closely. Ethan worked hard too. Retail is no joke. Long hours, difficult customers, corporate goals that change every 5 minutes. But instead of owning his choices, he built a whole identity around how unfair the world was to him specifically. Still, I loved him. Or at least, I loved the version of him I met 3 years ago. The one who made me grilled cheese at 2 a.m., who danced with me in the kitchen, who talked about wanting kids someday with a soft, almost scared look in his eyes. That version felt very far away the night he said, "We need to talk." Those 4 words should come with a medical warning. My fork stopped halfway to my mouth. We were at our small dining table, cheap wood, one leg slightly uneven. I'd made pasta. He'd barely touched it. His phone was face down next to his plate, screen lighting up every few minutes. I noticed the way his eyes kept flicking toward it. About what? I asked. He stared at his plate like it might offer him a script. About us. The wedding. Everything. My stomach dipped. Okay. I love you, he said quickly. Too quickly, like if he didn't front load that I'd walk out. You know that, right? Ethan, I said slowly, what is this? He finally looked up. His eyes were restless, almost feverish. I feel trapped. The word hit me like someone had knocked the air out of my chest. Trapped, I repeated. By what? Me? He flinched. By the situation. By the idea that I'm locking myself into something forever without ever experiencing anything else. Other people. Other options. I put my fork down, let the silence stretch until it started to vibrate. You want to break up, I said. My voice sounded very calm to my own ears. It didn't match the thunder in my chest. No, he rushed the word. No, I don't want to lose you. God, live, that's the last thing I want. His knee bounced under the table. I've just been reading some stuff, listening to podcasts. People talk about how monogamy is outdated, how a lot of couples open things up before marriage so they don't have regrets. It's actually really healthy if you have good communication and boundaries. There it was, the rehearsed speech, bullet points in his head, phrases like healthy and communication and boundaries lined up like armor. You've been reading some stuff, I echoed. Let me guess, articles bookmarked, maybe a thread or two, maybe a coworker who just happens to find it all super liberating? His eyes flicked to the phone again. There was a name I'd seen pop up too often lately, Vanessa. Cute, 20-something, works in his store, laughs too hard at his jokes. Ex-girlfriend, technically, from a few years ago. It didn't mean anything, he he'd said when he told me they'd be working together now. We were kids. Sure. He swallowed. This isn't about anyone specific. The lie sat between us like a third-place setting. I think, he said carefully, we should open the relationship. There it was. Open the relationship, I repeated, my voice flat. Just temporarily, he added quickly, just until the wedding. So neither of us has regrets. Lots of couples do this now. It's normal. Normal, I said. Right. He leaned forward. Look, we set rules. We're completely honest. We tell each other everything. It'll make us stronger going into marriage, knowing we actively chose each other after exploring our options. I watched him talk. The way he'd clearly memorized phrases, the way his fingers curled closer to his phone like he was itching to text someone, tell them it was done. Be honest with me, I said quietly. You have someone in mind. What? No. He didn't even fake confusion well. I mean, not specifically. This isn't about anyone in particular. Vanessa, I said. He froze. Color drained from his face, then came flooding back in patches. Liv, that's not fair. We dated forever ago. We're just friends now. This is about us. About making sure we're really meant for each other. There it was, the hook. If I said no, I wasn't open-minded. I was insecure, controlling, the bad guy. Don't you want to know we're not just settling? He added softly. I looked at him. This man I'd planned vows with, whose last name I'd already practiced signing. The man who apparently wanted to test drive his ex before committing to me. Part of me wanted to scream. Part of me wanted to throw the pasta bowl at the wall. Instead, I felt myself step outside my own body, watching from the ceiling. All right, I said. He blinked. What? Let's open the relationship. His whole face shifted, relief flooded in, followed by excitement. He looked almost proud of me. I knew you'd understand, he said. This is going to be so good for us. We'll set boundaries, schedule check-ins, talk about emotional safety. He kept going, layering on jargon like bubble wrap. I just nodded because somewhere between trapped and healthy exploration, I'd already decided something. If he wanted to play games, I would play, but I would play to win. That weekend, I went to my usual coffee shop, the one with the chipped white mugs and plants hanging in every window, the place I always went when I needed to think. I brought my laptop, opened a spreadsheet I didn't remember creating, and stared at the cursor blinking like a heartbeat. He really asked for this, I kept thinking. He really looked me in the eye and asked to go sleep with other people before promising me forever. Is this seat taken? I looked up. Lucas. Dark hair, shirt sleeves rolled up, tie loosened. He held a coffee in one hand and a laptop bag in the other. The cafe's soft light made the tired lines under his eyes look deeper, but he still had that easy, composed presence that made everyone else fade a little. Hey, I said. No, go ahead. He sat across from me, set his drink down, and gave me that polite, almost automatic smile. How's wedding planning? I let out a sound that was supposed to be a laugh and came out wrong. Oh, takes an interesting turn every 5 minutes. His brows rose. That bad? I hesitated. Ethan's voice flashed in my head. Family loyalty, Liv. Lucas doesn't need to know our business. He already thinks he's better than me. I could have lied, said everything was great, kept the facade. Instead, I heard myself say, we opened the relationship. Lucas choked on his coffee. Actually choked. He coughed, grabbed a napkin, and stared at me. You what? I shrugged, playing with the edge of my mug. Ethan decided he feels trapped and wanted to explore before we get married. So, we're doing the open relationship thing. He stared, like I'd just told him we'd decided to move to Mars. And you're just okay with that? He asked. I thought of Ethan's speech, the way he used the word mature like a weapon. He made it pretty clear that if I wasn't okay with it, I was being close-minded and insecure, I said. So yeah, I'm being mature about it. I went back to my laptop, more for something to look at than any real intention of working. Lucas didn't say anything for a long moment. Then, quietly, do you know he still talks to Vanessa? I went still. I looked up slowly. You know about her? He snorted. Everyone knows about her. The one who broke his heart, remember? He talked about it for 2 years straight at family dinners. Wow, I said. Lucky me. He leaned back, eyes sharp now. So let me get this straight. My little brother, who is still hung up on his ex, asked his fiancé to open the relationship so he can feel less trapped, and framed it like a personal growth exercise? That's the gist, I said. He shook his head, honestly kind of messed up. Welcome to my life, I said, and the words came out more bitter than I intended. We talked after that. About the situation, about expectations, about how their parents had spent decades turning Lucas into the benchmark and Ethan into the disappointment. About how that mess didn't justify what Ethan was doing now. Lucas didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't try to make me feel better with empty lines about boys being boys or cold feet. He called it what it was: selfish, manipulative, cowardly. When we were packing up to leave, he hesitated. "Listen," he said, "if you ever need someone to talk to about this disaster, I'm around. Family loyalty aside, what he's doing is wrong." He pulled his phone out, opened a new contact, and slid it toward me. For a second, I just looked at it. "This is a bad idea," a small voice whispered. I typed my number in anyway. "I mean it," he said. "You got handed a really raw deal here." I believed him. What I didn't know yet was that saving his number was the first domino. The rest were already lined up. After that coffee shop, I told myself I wouldn't text him. It would be weird, inappropriate, crossing some invisible line between future sister-in-law and confidant. So, naturally, I texted him 2 days later. It started harmless. I was sitting on the couch alone, TV on mute, Ethan in the bedroom, with the door half closed, laughing at something on his phone. A female laugh crackled faintly through the wall. Vanessa. I recognized her voice now. I'd met her once, briefly. She'd been too friendly, too familiar. My chest felt tight. I picked up my phone and opened Lucas's contact before I could overthink it. "Hey, it's Olivia. Sorry if this is weird. Just wanted to say thanks for listening the other day." I put the phone down, immediately picked it back up, deleted the last sentence, rewrote it. "Thanks for not making me feel crazy." I hovered over send, then exhaled and tapped the button. He replied 3 minutes later. "You're not crazy. He is. How are you holding up?" I stared at the question for a long time. "Kinda like I'm on a roller coaster I never agreed to get on," I typed. "You?" "Perpetually stuck in a conference room arguing over commas and contracts," he wrote. "Your ride sounds more dramatic. I might be jealous." I smiled despite myself. That was how it began. Small messages while he was between meetings and I was between tasks. Screenshots of ridiculous bridal group chat arguments. Memes about therapy. Little pieces of reality from someone who wasn't trying to manipulate the narrative. With Ethan, everything had become performance. With Lucas, everything felt unvarnished. A week into this new, open chapter, Ethan went out for drinks with coworkers. He sprayed on cologne he hadn't worn in months, changed shirts twice, and spent a solid 10 minutes fixing his hair. "Big night?" I asked from the bedroom doorway. He shrugged, casual, not looking at me. "Just the usual. Team stuff." "Vanessa going?" I kept my tone light, like I was asking about the weather. He stiffened just enough for me to notice. "I don't know. Maybe. What does it matter? We agreed, remember?" He smiled then, like we were co-conspirators. "This is healthy, Liv. We're doing the right thing." Funny how the healthy thing only ever seemed to benefit him. When the front door closed behind him, the house felt too quiet. The kind of quiet that buzzes. I sat on the couch, phone in my hand, staring at the blank TV screen until my reflection blurred. Then I texted Lucas. "He's out with coworkers. Make a guess about which one." The typing dots appeared almost immediately. "Want distraction or honesty?" he asked. "Both," I wrote. Honesty. He is absolutely using this as a free pass to relive his college fantasies with his ex. Distraction. Want to hear about my client who tried to sue over the emotional distress of his neighbor's wind chimes? I huffed out a laugh, tension cracking. "Go on." We talked until nearly midnight. At some point, my legs went numb under me. At some point, I forgot to keep checking the time. At some point, it stopped feeling like texting my fiancé's brother and started feeling like talking to someone who actually saw me. 2 weeks into the open relationship experiment, Lucas texted, "There's a new tapas place by the river. Good food, terrible parking. You should try it." "Alone?" I sent back. "I can be there in 20 if you want company." I stared at the screen, heart pounding. I thought of Ethan, who had stayed at a friend's place the night before and come home smelling like a perfume I didn't own. I thought of the way he'd brushed off my questions with, "This is what you agreed to, Liv. Don't get weird now." Don't get weird now. My thumb moved before my conscience could catch up. "Text me the address," I wrote. The restaurant was dim and warm. Fairy lights strung across the ceiling. Low music humming underneath clinking glasses and quiet conversations. I arrived first and spent 5 minutes pretending to read the menu while my pulse tapped out a nervous rhythm in my wrists. Then he walked in. Tie gone this time, sleeves rolled up, hair slightly mussed, like he'd been running his hands through it all day. He saw me immediately, his expression softened. "Hey," he said, sliding into the seat across from me. "You look tired." "Flattering," I said dryly. He smiled. "I meant you look like someone who's carrying too much." "That's better," I conceded. We ordered. Shared plates, small dishes we passed back and forth, garlic shrimp, patatas bravas, something with chorizo that made my lips tingle. We talked about safe things at first. Work, traffic, the crime against humanity that was his firm's coffee. Eventually, inevitably, we drifted back to Ethan. "So how's the grand experiment going?" he asked, swirling the wine in his glass. "Depends on who you ask," I said. "Ethan thinks he's starring in some edgy indie film about a man bravely confronting his fear of commitment." "And you?" Lucas asked. "I feel like I'm watching my own relationship slip through my fingers while being told I should be grateful for the opportunity," I said. "But other than that, great. 10 out of 10. Would recommend." His eyes softened. "You know this isn't normal, right?" I shrugged. "People do it." "People also jump out of planes for fun," he said. "Doesn't mean it's a good idea for everyone." I stared at the candle between us, wax pooling at the base. If I'd said no, he would have spun it as me being controlling. I could already hear him telling people. I tried to be open, but Olivia is just so insecure. Lucas's jaw tightened. "That's not just unfair. That's calculated. He built the trap so you'd feel like you had no choice." There was a long, heavy pause. "I don't want to lose him," I said quietly. Saying it out loud made my throat ache. Or at least, I don't want to lose the version of him I fell in love with. But he keeps moving the goalposts, and I'm the one doing all the emotional work to keep up. Lucas watched me, expression unreadable. "You know," he said slowly, "I always thought you were too good for him." I blinked. "That's not something brothers usually say." He shrugged one shoulder. Maybe not out loud. Something warm and sharp stirred in my chest. We finished eating, but neither of us seemed ready to leave. The restaurant thinned out, the noise falling into a gentle murmur. There was a moment, a pause between topics, where everything shifted. "So," he said, leaning back slightly, "are you using this open relationship thing?" I raised an eyebrow. "Define using." He gave me a look. "Live." I toyed with the stem of my glass. "Maybe." "Maybe," he repeated. "There's someone," I admitted. My heart started beating harder. I'm not sure he feels the same way. He set his glass down, suddenly very focused. "Tell me about him." I swallowed. "He's smart," I said. "Has his life together. Doesn't play mind games. Says what he means instead of twisting everything to make himself the victim." Lucas's expression didn't change, but I saw his throat move as he swallowed. "He listens," I went on. Like, actually listens. Not the performative nodding while waiting for his turn to talk. He doesn't make me feel crazy for having needs. My eyes lifted to his. He also happens to be related to my fiancé. Silence stretched between us, taut as a wire. "You're serious," he said finally. "Dead serious," I replied. "Ethan wanted an open relationship. These are his rules. I'm just playing by them." A laugh escaped him. It was short, disbelieving, half hysterical. "He's going to absolutely lose his mind," Lucas said. "Probably," I agreed. "This is insane," he added. "Yep," I said. "We're going to destroy your family, most likely." He rested his forearms on the table, fingers laced together, head tilted as he studied me. There was conflict in his eyes, yes, but something else too. Something that looked dangerously like hope. "For the record," he said quietly, "I never liked Vanessa, and what he's doing to you, that's not love, that's entitlement." "Is that your lawyer opinion?" I asked, my voice too soft. "That's my human opinion," he said. I could feel my pulse in my fingertips. "So," I said, forcing air into my lungs, "is that a no?" His lips twitched. "You're really asking me if I want to date my little brother's fiancé?" "Well," I said, "technically, his fiancé, who he asked to date other people first." He stared at me for another long moment. Then he picked up his glass. "One condition," he said. My heart climbed into my throat. "What?" "When this inevitably explodes in the most dramatic way possible," he said, eyes glinting, "I want a front row seat." A laugh burst out of me, startled and real. I raised my glass to meet his. "Deal," I said. Our glasses clinked softly. The sound was small, almost insignificant. But in that moment, I knew something had shifted. There was no going back. The next week moved like I was living two separate lives, one with Ethan, uneven, defensive, full of excuses, and another with Lucas, steady, honest, terrifyingly easy. It was surreal, slipping between them like crossing parallel universes. Ethan's universe smelled like Vanessa's floral body spray and sounded like defensive monologues about communication while he angled his phone away from me. Lucas's universe smelled like cedar and office paper, sounded like dry sarcasm and the occasional warm laugh that hit deeper than it should have. The contrast was dizzying. The following Saturday, Ethan and I were invited to his parents' house for a pre-wedding BBQ, one of those family bonding before the big day events his mom adored planning. I expected nerves, tension, maybe passive-aggressive comments from his mother about budgeting or timelines. I did not expect Lucas to be there. But there he was, standing near the grill in sunglasses, holding a lemonade, looking like some magazine spread titled, "Lawyers Who Actually Take Weekends Off." My heart did something I refused to name. He saw me before I saw him. His sunglasses shifted down just enough that I caught the small, barely there smile, private, fleeting, meant only for me. I felt it in my ribs. I swallowed, forcing myself to focus as Ethan and I walked up the driveway. His fingers were tapping against his thigh, jittery, restless. I recognized that anxious energy. It was how he got before performance reviews, or when he was lying. His mother greeted us with hugs, fussing about the heat, the food, the upcoming wedding schedule. I nodded through it, eyes flicking toward Lucas more times than was reasonable. Ethan noticed. He didn't say anything yet, but he noticed. The party unfolded in that suburban, slightly chaotic way family gatherings do. Kids running around, dogs barking, someone burning the first round of burgers. I drifted toward the drinks table, and somehow, Lucas ended up beside me. "Hi," he said quietly. "Hi," I replied, just as quiet. We didn't touch, didn't lean into each other, didn't break any visible rules. But we talked. Just talked. Effortless, like slipping into warm water. We talked about tiny things. His mom's obsession with hosting, my job, the weather, the ridiculous group chat Ethan's cousins ran. Small talk that should have felt shallow, but somehow didn't. He laughed at something I said, really laughed, and I felt it like a spark. Ethan was across the yard, watching. His jaw tightened, his posture shifted. His mom was talking to him, but his eyes kept darting back to us, sharp and narrowed. I pretended not to see it. Lucas noticed, though. He lowered his voice. He's going to implode soon. I almost choked on my lemonade. "Lucas." "Relax," he murmured. "We're just talking." "Yes, just talking." Except it felt like every word was another thread pulling us closer. At one point, he leaned in slightly, not touching me, just entering my space enough that my pulse skipped. "You okay?" he asked softly. "Yes," I lied, "totally." He smiled a little, like he knew exactly what that lie meant. Later, while I was helping set up dessert, Ethan stormed over. "Can we talk?" he hissed at my shoulder. I followed him behind the garage where the noise softened and the air felt heavier. "What's going on with you and my brother?" he demanded. I blinked. "What do you mean?" "You know what I mean," he snapped. "All the talking, the laughing, the whatever that was." "Ethan," I said slowly, "we're in an open relationship, remember? You said meeting new people was healthy." "That doesn't include him." "Oh, so there are rules now?" "You know exactly what I'm saying." "I'm sorry," I said. I must have missed the fine print that said, "Ethan can explore, but Olivia cannot." He flinched like I'd slapped him. "That's not what this is," he said. "You're twisting things." "Am I?" My voice dropped. "You wanted this, Ethan. You wanted to see other people. You wanted freedom." He scrubbed a hand over his face. "I didn't think you'd—" "Use it?" I finished for him. "The same way you did?" Silence. "You have someone," I added quietly. "You have Vanessa." His eyes darted away. My stomach dropped, even though I'd known. I didn't press it. Not yet. Not here. "We're not doing this right now," he muttered. "Just come sit with the family." I walked back with him, but everything between us felt frayed. Thin. One tug away from snapping. Lucas saw me return with Ethan. His gaze flickered over my expression, noticing everything, and then he looked away, giving me space. I didn't know whether to be grateful or terrified. The drive home was the kind of silence that weighs 1,000 pounds. I watched the streetlights smear across the windshield. He watched me. "What's going on with you and Lucas?" he demanded again. I turned to him slowly. "We're friends." "Since when?" "Since this open relationship started," I said lightly. "We're both exploring. Isn't that what you wanted?" "Not with him," he snapped. "Anyone but him." "Why not him?" I asked softly. "What's the real reason, Ethan?" He gripped the steering wheel so tight his knuckles whitened. "He thinks he's better than me," he muttered. "Everyone does. My whole life I've been second place. Second son, second best. And now you're going after him too. I'm not going after him, I said. I'm just following the rules you set. He slammed his palm against the wheel. The car jerked slightly. Stop twisting my words! Ethan, I said quietly, you wanted to sleep with your ex. You just didn't want me to do anything that might make you uncomfortable. That's not true, I finished, isn't it? He didn't answer. Are you sleeping with her? I asked. Silence. Long. Heavy. Then, this conversation is over. He pulled into the driveway too fast. My heartbeat felt like a drum under my ribs. He slammed the gear shift into park. We're closing the relationship, he said. Right now. I stared at him. No. His head snapped toward me. What did you just say? I said no, I repeated. I don't consent. You don't get to decide that. I absolutely do, I said calmly. You wanted freedom. You can have it, but so can I. His eyes were wild. This is insane. No, Ethan, I whispered. What's insane is thinking you could rewrite the rules halfway through because you realize they don't benefit you anymore. He stormed out of the car and into the house. The door slammed behind him. I stayed in the car for a long time, breath shaking, chest tight. When I finally got inside, he was in the guest room with the door locked. I didn't knock. I went to our bedroom, closed the door softly, and sat on the edge of the bed. My phone buzzed. A message from Lucas. He called me. I think he wants a family meeting. My fingers trembled as I typed back. When? Tomorrow. I stared at the screen, at everything unraveling, at everything forming too. Are you okay? He added. I swallowed. Not really, I typed. His reply came instantly. I'm here. I didn't know what tomorrow would bring. But I knew one thing. There was no turning back now. The family meeting was scheduled for 7 p.m. at Ethan's parents' house on a Sunday, which already told me two things. They were treating this like a crisis. They expected me to show up guilty. I spent the whole day feeling like I was waiting for a judge to hand down a sentence. Lucas texted me around noon. If you don't want to go, we can skip it. I stared at the message. And let Ethan tell his version of the story without me there, I wrote. No. All right, then I'm with you. It was a simple message, but it steadied something in me. At 6:45, Lucas pulled up in front of my place to give me a ride. I stepped out, locking the front door behind me, and he looked at me, really looked, and his face softened. You okay? He asked quietly. No, I said honestly, but I'm going anyway. He nodded once. Good. The drive was silent, but not tense. More like bracing, preparing. I could feel the storm we were heading into. And yet, sitting in the passenger seat of Lucas's sleek black sedan felt safer than my own house had in weeks. Ethan's parents lived in a nice neighborhood. Bigger houses, trimmed hedges, that distinct scent of generational money. When we pulled into the driveway, Ethan's mom was already waiting by the window, peeking through the curtains like a suburban guard dog. Oh, this is going to be fun, Lucas muttered under his breath. My stomach flipped. He opened my door for me, just a small gesture, but grounding, and we walked up the pathway together, side by side, like a united front. I didn't realize how much that mattered until Ethan opened the door and froze at the sight of us. You came together? He snapped. Lucas didn't blink. We're not doing this on separate teams. Ethan's jaw flexed, but he stepped aside. Mom and Dad are waiting, he said stiffly. I stepped inside and felt the temperature of the room drop immediately. Ethan's mom sat on the couch, hands clasped like she'd been praying. His dad looked exhausted, elbows on knees. And Ethan, standing, pacing, looked furious and panicked at the same time. The moment Lucas and I entered together, his mother's face twisted like she'd tasted something sour. Oh, dear God, she whispered. This is worse than I thought. Great start. Lucas and I sat down on the love seat. Ethan stayed standing, arms crossed, glaring. His mom sighed dramatically. Thank you both for coming. We're here to address... She gestured vaguely between us. Whatever this is. Lucas leaned back, completely calm. It's not complicated. Ethan opened his relationship. Liv followed the terms, and now he doesn't like the result. Ethan exploded. Don't twist it. You went after her. You've always gone after everything that's mine. Lucas didn't raise his voice, didn't even flinch. I didn't go after anyone. She came to me because you pushed her away. I didn't push her away. You literally asked her to date other people, Lucas said flatly. Ethan opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out. His mother rushed in to rescue him. Lucas, she scolded, you need to take responsibility for the role you played in this. Olivia is your brother's fiancé. Technically ex-fiancé, Lucas said calmly. I took a slow breath. Here we go. Her eyes snapped to me. Ex? Yes, I said. He gave me an ultimatum. Close the relationship or the wedding is off. I chose off. You, she blinked rapidly. You actually ended it? No, Lucas cut in mildly. Ethan ended it. She just accepted it. Ethan threw his hands up. Unbelievable! His father finally spoke, rubbing his forehead. Let's just slow down. Olivia, maybe you can explain what you think is happening. I nodded, keeping my voice steady. Ethan asked to open the relationship because he felt trapped. He said he wanted to explore before committing. He said it would make us stronger. Ethan's mom gasped. Ethan? He looked defensive. It's normal now. People do it all the time. Lucas muttered. People don't usually weaponize it, though. Ethan ignored him. I continued. He started reconnecting with Vanessa. Silence snapped across the room. His mother's eyes widened. Vanessa, your ex? Ethan flushed. We're friends. Lucas scoffed under his breath. Yeah, friends who meet up at 11 p.m. and smell like each other the next morning. Ethan spun on him. Stay out of this. You dragged us all here, Lucas shot back. You want honesty? This is honesty. Ethan's mom pressed a hand to her chest. Oh, Lord. His father looked at Ethan with disappointment so palpable it sucked the oxygen out of the room. Son, he said slowly, you asked your fiancé to see other men so you could reconnect with an ex-girlfriend? That's not how it was, Ethan protested. I didn't. It's different. Lucas raised an eyebrow. Ah, yes. The word every guilty person uses. Shut up, Ethan barked. You always think you're so much better than me. I never said that, Lucas replied, voice tight. I'm tired of apologizing for existing. The room went still. That was it. The underlying wound. Decades old. Still bleeding, Ethan's mom snapped. Lucas, don't talk like that. We've always supported both of you. No, Lucas said sharply. You praised me and pitied him. You put us in roles we never asked for. You made him feel like he was behind before he'd even begun. And now you're surprised he's acting out like this? Ethan looked stunned, betrayed, then angry again. So you think this is my fault? Ethan yelled. That's rich. You think dating my fiancé is my fault? Lucas's voice softened unexpectedly. I didn't plan this. Neither did she. It happened because you left the door wide open. And you just walked through, Ethan spat. Lucas didn't argue. He didn't deny it. He simply said quietly, yes. The silence that followed was suffocating. His mom burst into tears. My sons, fighting over a woman, this is a nightmare. We're not fighting over a woman, Lucas said calmly. Ethan threw her away. Ethan lunged, actually lunged. His father grabbed him by the arm. Enough! Ethan's chest heaved, eyes wild. You're ruining my life. I stood slowly. No, Ethan, you ruined it the moment you asked for an open relationship. You were supposed to understand, he shouted. You were supposed to grow from it. Not do this. Do what? I asked softly. Follow the rules you set? He stared at me, throat working, eyes shining with something close to panic. This isn't what I meant, he whispered. Then what did you mean? I asked. Silence, because we all knew the answer. He meant, I want to explore, you stay still. He meant, I want the freedom, you take the consequences. He meant, don't make me jealous. I'm the only one allowed to hurt you. Lucas stood, moved to my side, not touching me, just standing with me. I felt steadier instantly. I reached into my purse, pulled out the engagement ring, and set it gently on the coffee table. The sound was soft, final. Ethan stared at it like it was a snake. No, he breathed. No, Liv, don't. It's over, I said quietly. You ended it when you asked to sleep with someone else. He shook his head violently. It wasn't, I didn't want to lose you. Then you shouldn't have gambled me, I said. His mother sobbed harder. His father closed his eyes. Lucas remained still beside me, jaw clenched, protective without speaking. Ethan looked between us, wild, betrayed, devastated, and whispered, You'll regret this. Maybe he thought it sounded like strength, but it just sounded like fear. I turned toward the door. Let's go, I said to Lucas. He nodded once. We walked out together, side by side. Behind us, Ethan shouted something unintelligible. His mother cried. His father sighed. And for the first time in a long time, I felt the weight of something lift, something heavy, something toxic. I didn't know what the future held with Lucas. I didn't know what would break next, what would heal. But I knew one thing as we stepped into the cool night air. I hadn't lost anything worth keeping. Not anymore. Lucas and I didn't say anything for the first full minute after we walked out of that house. Not a word. He unlocked his car. We both got in, and he just sat there with his hands on the wheel, staring straight ahead like he needed to let the whole scene decompress out of his body. Finally, he exhaled. a long, loud breath that sounded like he'd been holding it for years. Well, he said. It was the softest laugh I'd ever heard from him. Quiet, disbelieving, edged with exhaustion. That was about as bad as it could have gone, I said. He turned to me then, and even though the situation was chaos, there was something warm in his eyes, something steady. It could have been worse, he said. Someone could have thrown something. I let out a shaky laugh. Give Ethan a few more minutes. He huffed a real laugh at that. Fair enough. I leaned my head back against the seat and closed my eyes. The tension was still in my chest like a fist, but there was something else threading through it. Relief. Not happiness, not yet, but relief. I wasn't hiding anymore. I wasn't apologizing for someone else's decisions. I wasn't pretending things weren't falling apart. They'd fallen, fully, spectacularly. And now I could breathe. Lucas started the engine but didn't pull out yet. You okay? He asked quietly. I opened my eyes. Honestly, I don't know. He nodded like he understood exactly what that meant. Do you want to go home? He asked gently. Or drive for a bit? Or eat? Or sit in the car until one of us loses circulation? I stared at him. It hit me then. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but with a quiet, undeniable clarity. He wasn't asking because he felt guilty. He wasn't asking because he wanted something from me. He wasn't asking because of obligation or performance. He was asking because he cared. Simple as that. Dinner sounds good, I said softly. He smiled, a real one, small but warm. I know a place. He drove us to a small restaurant tucked between two office buildings downtown, a place with soft lighting, comfortable booths, and the low hum of people talking quietly over late-night meals. A safe place. We were seated in a booth by the window. The city lights reflected faintly off the glass, streaks of gold and red passing like distant constellations across the dark. I ordered pasta. He ordered steak. Neither of us touched the menu for more than 5 seconds. The moment the waitress left, Lucas leaned back, his expression gentler than I'd ever seen. Are you really okay? He asked again, softer this time. I swallowed. I think so. I mean, I'm hurting, and angry, and embarrassed, and relieved, and terrified, and exhausted, and weirdly hungry. He smiled. Good. That means you're human. I let out something between a laugh and a sigh. I didn't want it to end like this, I admitted. I didn't want the wedding canceled. I didn't want a war. I didn't want to break anyone. You didn't break anything, he said firmly. Ethan did. You just stopped holding the pieces together for him. I stared at the grain of the table, tracing circles with my fingertip. What if people see me as the villain? I whispered. Lucas's voice gentled even more. People who don't know the full story might, but the ones who matter, they'll understand. And your parents? I asked quietly. He sighed. My mom is emotional. She'll blame whatever feels easiest. My dad will get over the shock eventually. They'll adjust. I hesitated. And Ethan? His expression hardened just slightly, not cruel, but resolved. He'll spin it however he needs to in order to feel better, he said. He always has. But his version doesn't have to be yours. I felt tears prick out the corners of my eyes. I blinked them back. I'm scared, I said, my voice small in a way I hated. Of what? He asked. Of how this started, I whispered. Of what people will think, of making the wrong choice, of hurting you too. He shook his head. Liv, none of this started because of you. It started because Ethan lit a match in a dry forest and handed you the extinguisher while he ran off with gasoline. I laughed weakly. That's vivid. He smiled faintly. Occupational clarity? I rested my forearms on the table and studied him. He looked tired too, emotionally scraped raw from the confrontation, but still present, still anchored. You don't have to stay, I said quietly. After tonight, after this mess, after everything, you can walk away. No hard feelings. He met my gaze and Do you want me to walk away? He asked. My throat tightened. No. Then I'm not going anywhere, he said simply. It was not a grand speech, not poetic, not dramatic, but it landed like a promise. Our food arrived then, steam curling up, breaking the moment gently. We ate in silence for a few minutes, both of us letting the weight of the night settle. Halfway through his steak, he paused, fork halfway to his mouth. You know, he said, we really are terrible people. I snorted. The absolute worst. He grinned. My sister, sorry, my mother will probably never forgive me. My wedding planner is going to murder me, I replied. My dad might start drinking again, he added dryly. My group chat is going to implode, I said. Entire generations will talk about our crimes. We will be legends, I declared solemnly. We both started laughing then. Really laughing. The kind that feels like your chest is cracking open just to let something lighter out. People turned to look. We didn't care. When the laughter died down, something quiet and warm settled between us. Not adrenaline, not revenge, not chaos. Something gentler. Something real. After dinner, he walked me to his car. The night air was cool, soft against my arms. Streetlights cast pockets of gold across the pavement. When we reached the passenger door, we both stopped. Not awkward, not confused. Just aware. His voice dropped to a murmur. So, where do we go from here? I took a slow breath. Forward, I said, carefully. He nodded. And together? A pause, a heartbeat, a choice. Yes, I said. He exhaled like he'd been holding that answer all night. But he didn't touch me, didn't lean in, didn't rush the moment. He just opened my door. Then let's go, he said softly. As I got in, I realized something. For the first time in months, I wasn't walking into a trap. I was choosing a direction, and someone was choosing it with me. Final update. 2 months later. If someone had told me 3 months ago that I would end my engagement, derail a wedding, detonate a family dynamic, and start dating my ex-fiancé's older brother, I would have laughed. Not a normal laugh. A full body who writes this stuff laugh. But life doesn't care about what makes sense. It cares about showing you exactly who people are. And Ethan showed me. Again and again and again. Until I finally stopped pretending I wasn't drowning. Now, 2 months after the fallout, my life looks nothing like the one I was planning. It looks better. Not easier, not cleaner, but better. Here's where everything stands. The wedding. Canceled, obviously. Ethan tried to make me pay half the costs. Claims I walked away and therefore should cover my share. My lawyer, yes, I got one, collected every text message and every voice note Ethan ever sent about exploring before we settle down and being mature about an open relationship. The legal term for Ethan's demand was something between ridiculous and laughable. He ended up eating over $6,000 in lost deposits. His parents chipped in, but they weren't happy. Not because of the money, because now the story wasn't neat. It wasn't a fairy tale. It was messy, complicated, real. They hated that. No. Ethan, he spiraled, exactly as everyone predicted. At first, his narrative was simple. Olivia cheated on me with my brother. But then someone asked, wasn't it your idea to open things? And suddenly the story changed. Then someone else asked, didn't you want to reconnect with your ex? Change number 2. Then people asked why he kept texting Vanessa even after we started wedding planning. Change number 3. And change 4. And change 5. The man went through more story revisions than a Hollywood script. I heard through mutual friends that he's dating again, or trying to. But he's bitter. He wants everyone to see him as the victim of some grand betrayal, yet he forgets that the internet exists, and group chats exist, and people remember things. He sees himself as tragic. Everyone else sees the pattern. And honestly, I wish him healing far, far away from me. Vanessa. Ah, yes. The ex he opened the relationship for. She disappeared the moment the drama touched her doorstep. Poof! Gone. Turns out she liked being the fantasy, the forbidden possibility. But the moment reality knocked, she bolted. Funny how the people Ethan risked everything for never actually chose him back. Ethan's parents. His mom is still dramatic. Anytime Lucas and I walk into their house now, she gives us this tight, trembling smile that looks like she's fighting a migraine and a moral dilemma simultaneously. His dad is quieter, reserved, but not unkind. A few weeks ago, he pulled me aside when Lucas went to get the car. He said, I didn't like how this started. I won't lie to you about that. But you look lighter with him. I haven't seen Lucas this happy in years. That counts for something. And that was all he said. But it was enough. Me and Lucas. We didn't rush anything. People expected us to go full throttle, flaunt the relationship, explode the family even more, burn everything down. We didn't. We took our time. We talked for hours about the past, our mistakes, our boundaries, what scared us, what hurt us, what we wanted to avoid repeating. We laughed a lot too, more than I ever laughed with Ethan. There were moments of awkwardness, of course, moments of guilt that weren't mine to carry, moments where the shadow of how it all began crept in. But Lucas didn't run from any of it. If anything, he met every hard moment head on. He is the first man I've ever dated who doesn't make me walk on eggshells, who doesn't weaponize vulnerability, who doesn't twist emotions into bargaining chips. With him, I don't feel like I'm auditioning for the role of worthy partner. I just get to be me. We're officially together now. We've met each other's friends. We've swapped keys. And next month, I'm meeting his college roommates. apparently legendary personalities who have already warned him they will interrogate me lovingly and aggressively. Honestly, I'm looking forward to it. Running into Ethan. It happened last week. Grocery store, produce aisle. Because irony is alive and well. He was with some girl, clearly a rebound, smiling too big, talking too loud. We locked eyes, just for a moment. He looked like he wanted to say something. I nodded politely and walked past. That night he texted me, "So you can't even say hi now?" I blocked the number. It was long overdue. What I learned. People asked if I regret how everything went down. The messy parts, the painful parts, the loud, ugly, undeniable parts. Honestly, no. I regret trusting someone who used my love as leverage. I regret ignoring my own discomfort for months. I regret dimming myself to keep the peace. But what happened? The breakup? The yelling? The family meltdown? Lucas? No, I don't regret any of that. Ethan wanted an open relationship. He wanted no rules, no consequences, no accountability. He wanted to explore his options while believing I would stay exactly where he left me. He wanted to be the only one who got to wander. He wanted to be the only one allowed desire, the only one allowed jealousy, the only one allowed growth. He wanted an open door. He just never expected me to walk through it. And definitely not with someone who treated me with more care in 2 months than Ethan did in the last 2 years. Am I happy? I don't know yet if Lucas and I are forever. No one does. But right now, we laugh, we communicate, we apologize without ego, we don't play mind games, we don't twist feelings into weapons, we don't test each other, we don't cling out of fear. There is peace, real peace. And that's new for me. We're building something real, slowly, intentionally, without the chaos that birthed it. Ethan is still out there rewriting his story for anyone who will listen. Lucas is here next to me on the couch, reading a book, one leg touching mine, steady as a lighthouse. Ethan wanted an open relationship. He just didn't like who I ended up with. Not my problem anymore. Life is unexpectedly good from where I'm standing.